File number 3, AB 557.
Thank you, Chair. Members, I'm pleased to present AB 557, a measure to continue giving local governments the flexibility to teleconference during state of emergencies. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the legislature enacted a number of laws to allow local government agencies to meet remotely without requiring their members to disclose the location of their private residences. Those measures ensured our local elected bodies could do the essential work they were elected to do while making meetings available and accessible to the public. Recent storms and subsequent state of emergency declarations have underscored the ongoing need for flexibility in times of crisis. AB 557 will simply remove the sunset on existing law to continue giving local governments the option to teleconference during an emergency declared by the governor. Testifying in support today are Marcus Detweiler, representing the California Special District Associations, and Supervisor Ryan Campbell, representing Tuolumne County.
Welcome.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Marcus Detweiler with the California Special Districts Association, proud to sponsor AB 557, along with the League of California Cities and the California State Association of Counties. AB 557 is a modest Brown Act bill, and I say that because AB 557 only does two things. Number one, AB 557 eliminates a deadline associated with emergency remote meeting procedures put into place as part of AB 361, a prior year bill. The second thing that our bill does is that it changes from 30 days to 45 days the duration of resolutions passed as part of the emergency remote meeting process. So let me back up to that first part. So the deadline put into place on these emergency remote meeting procedures was instituted as part of AB 361. It was a bill authored by Assemblymember Robert Rivas out of Hollister that allowed local agencies to meet remotely during times where it would otherwise be unsafe to meet in person. When we originally devised AB 361, it was intended to address situations like wildfire and flooding that made it unsafe for folks to meet in any singular location. That bill quickly became adapted into the COVID-19 bill for a similar situation where it was unsafe to meet in person. We're now staring down a deadline where at the end of the year, this emergency remote meeting procedures would be eliminated from law. And so while we have moved past the COVID-19 state of emergency, recent events in the state, particularly disastrous flooding, have evinced the need to retain these emergency remote meeting procedures. And they've been used after COVID-19, as you'll see in the testimony from the second district supervisor from Tuolumne County. The second and only other thing that this bill does is that it makes an adjustment to the duration of resolutions passed as part of the 361 process. Originally, the resolutions passed would last for 30 days, and so a local agency would have to renew its resolutions every 30 days for as long as it sought to continue to meet remotely under the emergency remote meeting procedures. Along with the various findings, this meant that local agencies would have to keep meeting in order to keep the resolutions alive, and what we had learned in the intervening years is that some local agencies meet the second Tuesday or third Thursday monthly in a calendar. And so every so often during the calendar, that meant that there were more than 30 days between each of these regularly scheduled meetings. And so the second and only other thing that this bill does is change that 30-day time frame to 45 days. With that, that is the totality of this bill, and I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of this wonderful group here. I'm Ryan Campbell. I am the 2nd District Representative for Tuolumne County's Board of Supervisors. I'd like to thank Assemblymember Hart for his authorship and CSAC for their co-authorship of this important measure. In the past several months, California has weathered more than a dozen atmospheric rivers, and following a series of winter storms, flooding, and severe damage to counties like mine, Governor Newsom, the governor proclaimed a state of emergency in 47 counties, including Tuolumne County. This was later followed up with a federal emergency declaration. Storms have caused severe damage to our roads, causing long-term closures, including on Highway 120, which, as you'll know, is the gateway to beautiful Yosemite National Park. It is also the only access point for the community of Groveland, which severely restricts travel for a large portion of my county. Damage to our county road system alone is over $30 million at the current estimate. And unfortunately for many rural counties like mine, we are focusing on repairs, and we're going to be doing that for quite some time. All the while, the threat of additional disasters and emergencies remains as we prepare for wildfire season and the lingering results of historic snowfall and the snowmelt that will follow that. Assembly Bill 557 is a critically needed measure that will continue to permit counties and local agencies to meet during governor-declared emergencies, when it would otherwise be impossible for county staff and the public to meet in person safely. During emergencies, the people's access to their government is of paramount importance, and this measure will continue to provide flexibility to the public to watch and engage in proceedings online. This is particularly beneficial for poor, larger counties, counties that are rural, that are in sparsely populated areas like mine, where communities are very spread apart. AB 557 will increase the people's access to their local government during emergencies. This flexibility for local agencies in emergency circumstances must not expire at the end of this year. Therefore, I respectfully ask for your support for AB 557, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any other witnesses in support for AB 557? AB 557.
Tracy Ryan, Rural County Representative of California, in support.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Andres Ramirez on behalf of the City of Chino Hills and Lafayette in support.
Bridget McGowan, Los Angeles County Sanitation District, in support.
Kaylin Dean, California State Association of Counties, proud co-sponsor in support of the bill. Thank you.
Isabella Argueta with the Health Officers Association of California in support.
Kate? Kate, did you want to get the microphone to Kate, please? You go ahead.
Thank you, Chair and members. Sarah Bridge on behalf of the Association of California Healthcare Districts, in support.
Thank you.
Kate Laddish, Chair of the Yolo County In-Home Supportive Services Advisory Committee, in support.
Kim Rothschild, California Association of Public Authorities for IHSS, in support.
Brian Nooks of the Los Angeles Unified School District, in support.
Devin Anderson on behalf of the California Travel Association, in support.
Hi, Matt Robinson again on behalf of the California Transit Association, as well as Monterey Salinas Transit District, in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Jean Hurst here today on behalf of the Urban Counties of California, the Boards of Supervisors of the counties of Santa Barbara and Santa Cruz, in strong support.
We have more.
Madam Chair, members, Roger Dickinson on behalf of Civic Well, formerly the Local Government Commission, in support. Thanks.
Good morning, Johnny Pini with the League of California Cities, proud co-sponsor of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's good morning still. Good morning, Chair and members. Eric Harris, Disability Rights California, in strong support.
Good morning, Carlos Machado with California School Boards Association, in support.
Jeff Neal on behalf of the County of San Diego, in support.
Matt Klopfenstein on behalf of SMUD, in support. Madam Chair and Member Sylvia Solis Shaw here on behalf of the City of Goleta and also on behalf of the City of Santa Monica. Thank you.
Chris Lee on behalf of the Sacramento Area Council of Governments in support.
Any witnesses in opposition to AB 557? Any opposition? Seeing none. Do we have any questions from the committee? Okay, let's start with Assemblymember Wilson and then Assemblymember Pacheco.
Good morning. I guess it is still morning. My only concern with the bill, and I appreciate it, I think that it is needed in terms of extending the time to indefinite because of the threats that do face California in regard to, as is noted, wildfire, flooding, potentially another pandemic. Hopefully it's once in a generation and our generation won't see it again, but you never know. Exactly, knock on wood. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. This will come back on repeat. But, one of the issues I have, and it's not just with this bill, it's with other bills as it relates to tweaking the Brown Act, is not doing where you're telephoning from. I believe that is a right to the members of the public to know where their elected officials are. Maybe not their address, because I know there's security concerns and your bill doesn't deal with that, others still do, but to know even what city they're in. And this is because I've seen it abused in my own area, even in my own city, that ability to not know where you are being abused. And so I think it's important that that has nothing to do with the ability to telecommute to a meeting. It has nothing to do with the ability to be outside of the region, because we saw with the Paradise Fire, there was no place within the geographic limits to be able to conduct a meeting. So I have no issues with that, but that is the one I do have a concern with. And so I'd ask that you consider, is that really a necessary component, not to telegraph where your elected representatives are, at least their city, when conducting a meeting, and that not being listed. So that's my only concern.
Well, thank you for that input. We'll take that into consideration and have a conversation about that.
Thank you.
Assemblymember Pacheco.
So I just want to thank the author for bringing this bill forward. I would love to be added as a co-author.
Thank you. Absolutely make that happen.
Assemblymember Dixon, did you have a question? Okay. All right. We have a motion by Assemblymember Berner. I need a second. Assemblymember Pacheco seconded. Would you like to close?
I respectfully request an aye vote. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Assemblymember Hart. It's no secret that I have strong feelings about the Brown Act and any changes to it to restrict public access to their elected or appointed representatives. However, the provisions of this bill and its predecessor, AB 361, are very narrowly crafted. They provide certainty for local agencies and their governing bodies during a state of emergency, which I believe is reasonable. I supported AB 361, and I will be supporting your bill today. The motion is due pass to the floor. Secretary, please take the roll.
Aguilar Curry.
Aye.
Aguilar Curry, aye. Dixon. Aye. Dixon, aye. Berner. Aye. Berner, aye. Pacheco. Aye. Pacheco, aye. Ramos. Aye. Ramos, aye. Rivas. Waldron. Wilson. Aye. Wilson, aye. 6-0.
Oh, your bill's on 6-0. AB 557, Hart's current vote 6-0.
Rivas. Aye. Rivas, aye. Waldron.
Aye.
Waldron, aye.
Bill's out 8-0.